Views expressed by Casters Guild members are only the opinions of that member, and that could change from day to day. Guild members may use mature language, but that in no way means they are mature. Listener discretion is advised.
There's a card game that shouldn't be proud of its art. Tarantino obviously isn't done making movies, and I'll tell you why you shouldn't play the Fallout TTRPG, because that's the spell we're casting tonight on Casters Guild. Thank you for tuning into this episode of Casters Guild. I'm your guild master, Rick Perry, and everybody do the weenus. The weenus is a dance. Everybody is a genius who knows it in advance.
And I'm your guild master, Baron Kane, and I believe I've just been sexually harassed.
Needless to say, I've been watching a lot of Dropout and Game Changer.
It's funny that you say that because I literally just had to stop watching Dropout to do this podcast, except I'm watching Junior Year.
Oh, okay.
And I've just been introduced to my new favorite character, Marianne Scuttle. I don't know if she's going to stay my favorite, but she definitely is right now.
Okay. Has this been a good season?
I haven't had the time to really sit down and watch it / listen to it. Normally I do a little of both. So it was kind of hard for me to get into it because I knew I didn't have time. Now, I've taken some time off of work this week and have been rearranging my house and have had time to listen to it. And yes, yes, it is going really well. Some of the concepts that they're introducing to this season are actually pretty funny. And it's like stuff that I would think that I would put into my game if I was running it long enough. But sure. Yeah, it's really cool.
It just goes to show the quality content that continues to come out of Dropout. I know we've already sung its praises plenty, but I don't think we've said anything about it this season. And Game Changer is hitting hard this season. If you haven't watched those episodes, I'd highly recommend it.
Mm-hmm.
And Iffy is doing great as a host for actually.
Oh, yeah. I've seen 2 episodes with him in it, and I'm sold. Nothing, Trap is great.
Mm-hmm.
But so is Iffy.
Yeah.
If he picked up that ball and ran with it just perfectly fine. I think it helps, too, that he's been a multiple-time guest as well. So
he knows the show.
Yeah, his face is already associated with the show. He knows the show. Yeah.
So now that we've sucked Dropout's dick for a little while...
I mean, I can keep going. I don't... They haven't tapped me on the head yet.
That'll be a while. They like to edge.
Oh, gotcha. Wow, this episode is getting fucking dirty. God.
Well, it started with the weenus. I mean...
Oh, that's fair.
It can only get better from there. So, last episode was a great episode. I'm not going to disparage last episode at all, but there was so much good stuff on it that there was other stuff that we wanted to cover that we just could not get to.
Yeah. That was one thing that I was kind of looking at our topics to cover, but then it was just like, okay, we have an agenda this episode.
Exactly.
And yeah. So I didn't push the issue because I knew we had a lot of stuff to talk about, but it's like we have this one important thing that we need to talk about. So, yeah. And if you don't know what we're talking about, go back and watch.
Please do. So, one of our guild officers put this forward last week for us to talk to, and I want to make sure we cover it this week. There is a card game that has come out. It's actually been out for a while now, where all the cards... There's actually... Okay, before I get into it too much, the card game is called Champions of Otherworldly Magic.
Which sounds like... A little foreshadowing. It sounds like an AI-generated card game title.
Right. And this card game does a few things that I really don't like. First thing, every card is an NFT.
Stop!
You didn't even know that part.
I missed that part.
Every card is an NFT, which can be traded or purchased with cryptocurrency.
So dumb. This is so dumb.
Which is terrible. NFTs, cryptocurrency, all of it in general is just, they're all terrible ideas. Let's just make a card game around it. Why not? So the company who makes it has proudly come out and stated that they have spent $90,000 on card art. But who are they paying this $90,000 to? That is a single, quote unquote, AI artist who receives $15,000 per month despite dedicating less than 2 full work days on the project per month. Reading that directly off of PCGamer.com, by the way.
Oh my god. Love it. I love it that they're saying that they're AI generated, but they're touched up by hand. Like, oh yeah, that makes all the difference. That makes all the difference.
Well, here's the thing. It's not like other companies who get caught using AI art and they're like, we're sorry, we shouldn't have used AI art. These guys are proudly saying, these are all AI art. Look how good they look, even though they're AI art. And the only reason they even admitted to them being touched up is because they wanted to promote their artist, who they were paying to do it. And they're just saying, oh, it's touched up by hand. And they aren't saying it's legitimate art because it's touched up by hand. They're just saying that's why they don't have
extra fingers,
8 fingers and like weird eyeballs. And, you know, that's all they're doing is when like a little weird part comes out of the AI, they fix it. And that's the touch up that they're doing.
It kind of makes me mad too, because a lot of these little guys look kind of cool.
Well, of course they do. They belong to other artists.
Yeah.
Like, if you look at some of these designs, they look oddly familiar. And then if you really look into these designs, it's because they are extremely similar to cards that have been done for things like Hearthstone or Riot games. They are legitimately, the AI is pulling from these other really cool card arts and creating their own art, quote unquote, own art, that is based off of that art. So yeah, of course the designs look cool. They were done by a legitimate artist at one point in time.
So sad.
And I haven't even reached the worst part yet.
What?
So the worst part, in my personal opinion, is the fact that after they decided to brag about their AI artist,
right,
which they said they use the AI artist because they can get more art for cheaper than they could out of a team of actual artists, which, duh. But everyone came out and was like, hey, pay a real artist, stop using AI art. And so they come out on Twitter and they go, oh, well, you think you can do better? Here's 48 hours, do better art and more art than our AI artist did in 24 hours. And put a challenge out to the actual artist on Twitter.
I think they're missing the point, but
I think they're more than missing the point. I mean, like
one might say that they missed the mark. Bring it back. Bring it back for on the side of good this time.
They stepped over the mark, missing it entirely, into their own shit, then took their shoe off and used it to wipe their face.
Oh, yep, that seems fair.
That's what happened.
That seems fair.
And they sit there and brag because they're like, oh, because we have this AI art, all the cards are NFTs, and we can do all these variants of the art, and everybody can have their own version of this card. And yeah, it's not that we know that you could do all of that easily with AI, but the fact that you're making money off of this and paying for this instead of actual artists means you're stealing from the actual artists who have made these designs and putting the money in this other guy's pocket. It's just bad. But we mentioned last episode that there are good uses for AI art and there are bad uses for AI art, and this is not one of the good ones.
Oh my god. You guys, if you guys want a treat, we will post the link that we got this information from, and there is a part in that page where it takes you to the Twitter post. Mm-hmm. Go to it, and I want you to read this fucking company's responses to almost every tweet on here.
They're so the responses, they're so sure they're right, and they're so pretentious about it.
Oh yeah, they are doubling down, doubling down, and the most ominous thing is them saying this will be the standard over the coming years. We are just first.
I wish they were wrong.
Yep.
I wish they were wrong. They were wrong. I hope they're wrong. I hope that we get something. I hope we can get an artist strike that is similar to the writer strike or the actor strike that will lead to this not becoming the standard.
Just if you guys go and check out that Twitter post, just do me a favor. Don't add to the comments. You're just going to help their engagement.
Yeah.
Just go in, look, have a good laugh, go away.
Instead, come to our Discord and talk to us about it, because we will gladly engage you in conversation.
Absolutely. It's so funny.
I can't get over how funny it is, like how much they are sticking to their guns on this one.
Oh yeah. Yeah, this is funny.
All right, shifting over to a company that can actually pay actual artists to create drawings of hundreds of different monsters. The Shin Megami Tensei role-playing game is now available for pre-order.
I don't even know what that is.
I think you do when you don't know that you do.
Oh yeah, probably.
Shin Megami Tensei, the games are the precursors to the Persona games.
Okay.
So are you familiar with Persona?
Yes.
Yeah. All the same monsters and all the same demons that are in Persona all came from Shin Megami Tensei. They're like similar universe or same universe.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah.
So while this is technically not a Persona TTRPG, you could buy this book and run a Persona campaign.
Gotcha. Okay.
But that being said, if you've played the Persona games and haven't played the Shin Megami Tensei games, they're much harder, first of all. Persona, I feel like once you understand how their world works, you can kind of steamroll everything if you understand how weaknesses and stuff work. Shin Megami Tensei doesn't quite work like that. You actually have to be good at the game. But I know I'm a huge Persona fan. I know a lot of my friends and people who listen to this podcast are huge Persona fans. And we're all TTRPG fans.
Sure.
So I will be leaving a link in the description on where you can pre-order the Shin Megami Tensei TTRPG. And for those of us who are looking for other alternatives to D&D, here's just another great one.
Perfection.
Just another really good TTRPG you can play instead of D&D. Which I wasn't planning on bringing this up, but now that I bring that up, that actually reminds me of something that I'd like to use my platform to magnify my voice on.
Okay.
Because the Fallout TV show was so great. Modifius, the creators of the Fallout TTRPG, have been pushing the Fallout TTRPG recently. There's been a lot of ads for it. There's been a whole lot of, oh, if you liked the Fallout TV show, come play our game. I've played that game, and in my opinion, that game is a hot mess. That is way too rules heavy, and the way the rules work is way too complicated. And I can see what they were trying to do, and I give them applause in that. But if you're looking for a Fallout experience in TTRPG, I feel like there are better places to get that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I trust you on your judgment on these things. You have been running... Honestly, you have probably been running games for about as long as I have been running games. Even though I've technically been gaming longer. So I definitely would trust your judgment on that.
I would say if you are the type of person who's super into super crunchy systems, like if you're really into being rules heavy and you really like Fallout, maybe you could give it a try.
Maybe. I seriously was just thinking about using Cyberpunk.
Cyberpunk would work.
Yeah.
Honestly, the D20 system or GURPS would probably...
God, can you imagine?
Like
can
D20
you imagine?
Future, D20 Modern?
Well, yes. The D20 stuff would be fine. I never got to play GURPS, but GURPS it prides itself on essentially being able to do any setting. But can you imagine a Fallout type situation, except all you do is add a little bit of magic and some demi-humans?
Oh, yeah.
So you're just playing Shadowrun, but in the Fallout world?
Do a Shadowrun... Well, Shadowrun is technically already post-apocalyptic, right?
Yeah.
But do another apocalypse in Shadowrun where, like, society has completely crumbled
No, I would, yes.
Shadowrun after the bomb.
Right. But even have it, but yeah, just have the technology level that of Shadowrun,
Fallout.
Yeah, and then I think it'd be cool even to just be like, okay, everybody in the game, every PC is a human. And you're all vault dwellers, and you come out, and this is the world.
Right. Some people have called the technology level in Fallout tube punk.
Sure, that makes sense.
I think that's a fitting title.
Yeah.
It doesn't really roll off the tongue very well, but it is a very fitting title.
Nope. Those consonants feel weird.
But fun fact, Steve Jackson Games was actually working on a Fallout TTRPG a long time ago.
Yeah.
And it was an expansion for GURPS.
Okay.
And they had already spent either months or years, don't quote me on it because it's been a long time since I've looked into this.
Kill the crew.
But they had already spent months or years working on it, and I believe it was even before Bethesda got a hold of Fallout. It was whoever had it before Bethesda.
Okay.
Came to Steve Jackson Games and was like, hey, we love the work that you're doing on this RPG, but we want you to change it so it runs off the special system. Mm-hmm. You know, strength, perception, endurance, all that jazz for special.
Sure.
And Steve Jackson Games went, so you want us to rebuild it from scratch? Like, we've built this entire system based off of GURPS, who uses this system already, and you want us to rebuild it from scratch.
I can see the points of both parties.
Right. And so Steve Jackson Games went, no. But before that happened, I'd also like to point out, Steve Jackson Games wanting to put a Tarrasque in Fallout is how Deathclaws happened.
Say it again?
Steve Jackson Games wanting to put a Tarrasque in Fallout.
Oh, really?
Is how Deathclaws happened.
Huh.
Which it makes sense if you think about it.
Yeah.
But anyway, Steve Jackson Games said no. So they got the license pulled from them. So they were like, okay, well, if you're not going to make it based around special, you don't get to make our TTRPG.
Yeah, that seems a little... And if they would have just said, can you work the special system in some way, I think that would have been a more reasonable request.
Right. And then Steve Jackson Games took the work that they had done on that, and they were like, fuck it, and they took it and made Planescape Torment.
Oh, neat. Okay.
So that is the origin story of Planescape Torment.
Wonderful. Well, maybe, hopefully... Well, I don't know how GURPS works. Do they have people approaching them, having them do stuff in the GURPS, or are they essentially the Weird Al of TTRPG and they just pick up a property and just remake it in their own system like that? I
don't know.
Okay.
But I think that GURPS isn't really making anything anymore.
Mm-hmm. Not that I've seen, no.
That they made their system and then just made it open source and said, go. Mm-hmm. And other people just kind of make stuff for it. And with individuals making whatever they want for it, I'm sure some of it is licensed and maybe some of it isn't. And maybe some of it is very Weird Al, where, like, you know, they make it in such a way that they can't get sued for it because they're like, oh, this isn't this, it's this. And maybe some of it, they just don't care because they're like, I'm just making a supplement and putting it for free online. Mm-hmm. Fucking sue me.
Yeah, true. Who knows?
But point being, once again, just to bring it all the way back, if you're looking for something to play other than D&D, 1, go play Daggerheart. 2, if you're looking for something a little bit of a different flavor, there are lots of options out there, including Shin Megami Tensei. And don't play the Fallout TTRPG game.
Just as a shout out here, I just did a little search for GURPS Fallout, and I don't believe this is official, but it looks like someone adapted it.
Yeah, it would not be hard to find.
No, and you know what? If you're anything like me and you just don't want to put in the work to convert something, and you just find someone's work out there, just go for it. I'm sure they're fine with it. That's why it's out here.
And I think I was trying to make the point, and I sidetracked myself. If you are super into rules and you're super into Fallout and you're like, I want to try it anyway, there is a free quick start kit that you can download. do that before you buy anything and really see if it's the system for you, because it's rough.
Yeah.
So moving on to something that is not rough at all, we got a new trailer for Tales of the Shire.
Well, I'm down.
Yeah, I thought I'd leave this more up to you because I'm not. Like, cozy games and sim games are not my deal.
Right, yeah. Obviously, as soon as this thing came out, I was down. So basically, I'm assuming you are just making up some hobbit, and you are building your life in the Shire. Again, it doesn't really give a lot of details of where the game starts or anything like that, but it shows you, decorating your hobbit hole, shows you gardening, it shows you fishing. The blurb itself says that you meet familiar hobbit families, and I think it said something about a familiar face or two. So what it sounds like is, you're going to probably meet the Bagginses, but you're not going to meet, like, Frodo or Bilbo.
They're probably out doing their things, or it's way after.
Or way before.
Right.
Way before or way after. I'm sure that we'll see Gandalf. That sounds like, they used his voice in the trailer.
Right.
Whether that was the actual actor's voice or not, it was definitely supposed to be Gandalf. But it looks pretty. It looks fun. It's done by Weta. They put accents on their letters weirdly. Anyways, but it looks good. I'm super hyped for it. And like Rick knows, I will Stardew all day. He also knows that, I love The Hobbit more than any other Tolkien book out there. I am in it. I am in this. And I'm ready.
The studio itself describes the game as follows. Create and personalize The Hobbit with an array of customizations to experience the world of J.R.R. Tolkien's beloved Middle-earth universe your own way. Settle in and decorate a cozy Hobbit home, choosing from an array of furniture and home decor to create your unique, humble abode. Then head outdoors to Bywater for plenty of cooking, fishing, foraging, gardening, and more relaxing activities in the Shire. Toss your lure to catch trout from the glistening waters of Bywater Pool, gather wild mushrooms, and then use the collected ingredients to bake a succulent pie to serve for luncheon. With a full belly, stroll back outside to explore the Shire and build relationships with the Bywater locals by helping them to build a garden, sharing one of the many daily Hobbit meals, and more. It sounds like exactly what you want out of a Hobbit game, honestly.
That's a love. Yeah. It doesn't sound like there's going to be a lot of combat, if any.
No.
Which, again, I'm completely fine with. But you do exploring, and you find treasures and stuff. So, if I'm not mistaken, you're probably going to play a Took of some kind.
We'll see. Like I said, I've never gotten into the cozy life sim games. It does look cool, I'll be honest, and the art is really pretty.
Oh, yeah.
We'll see. Maybe you'll convince me to, if there's some sort of multiplayer thing where you can visit each other's hobbit holes, maybe you'll convince me to join in on it.
Man, I'll tell you, I will be shocked if they do multiplayer.
Sure.
Honestly. Would it be hype? Sure. Not sure how. That would have to be how it is. It'd have to be just, visiting each other's hobbit hole and like sharing a meal which don't get me wrong, that sounds great to me.
Yeah, it'd be very Animal Crossing-esque or Stardew-esque in the way it does multiplayer, if it does multiplayer.
Mm-hmm. And I will say that Bywater isn't necessarily, it's not Hobbiton.
Sure.
Hobbiton would be where Bilbo lives. So the Shire itself, I believe, has a few different towns, with Bywater being one of them. And I believe, let me look this up. I'm trying to figure out if it's on the other side of the river. I'm not sure. There's too much stuff.
There's too much lore.
You know what? You know what's there? The Green Dragon Inn. That's why. Yeah, that's why it kind of hit me. Yep. So I think that's probably a big reason why they did it there. Because, come on.
It's probably going to be involved somehow.
Yeah. Yep.
They serve it by the pint there,
Nope, that's the Prancing Pony.
Oh, yeah, you're right. But they do serve it by the flagon.
Yes, they do.
See? I'm not the biggest LOTOR nerd, but I do know some things.
Yeah, and actually, you know what? I just went ahead and looked it up on the Lord of the Rings. It is a wiki, but it's the New Notion Club archives,
Sure.
which has just a bunch of information on stuff. And I'm not even sure what the New Notion Club archives are. I don't know if it's like maybe their own little like gaming club or whatever, but it has a lot of good information on it. And it talks about all the different kinds of things that are in the town, and if it's all accurate, there's a lot of stuff in this little town that you're going to be able to do some good adventuring in and just looking around and stuff. So this should be cool.
In other news, when it comes to video games, so we all know, we have already announced on the podcast that Larian is leaving the project of Baldur's Gate.
It has been rumored, yes.
Confirmed. They're not making any sequels. They're not making any DLC.
Right.
So Wizards hasn't officially announced that they're going to be making a sequel or any DLC for Baldur's Gate 3. But let's be honest, they own everything that comes with it. Larian doesn't own anything when it comes to those games. It's all owned by Wizards. So there's nothing stopping them. And it was such a huge game, there's a good chance they're going to be either making DLC for Baldur's Gate 3 or a sequel or both. Possibly with a different studio. Well, definitely with a different studio.
Right.
So I'd like to let everyone know, if you aren't buying Dungeons & Dragons stuff because you don't like the way Hasbro and Wizards of the Coast handle Dungeons & Dragons, keep that in mind when you see an announcement for Baldur's Gate 4.
Mm-hmm.
If it is completely handled by their team in the way it is they handle Dungeons & Dragons content now, it's going to be, in my opinion, very corporate, very soulless. It's just going to be a cash grab of a sequel. Don't let them get away with it. Don't go out and buy it the way you bought Baldur's Gate 3. If they see that amount of revenue come in from a game they make themselves instead of letting Larian handle it, they're going to take that as permission, and we're just going to get more and more stuff exactly like it instead of the good stuff like Larian does, which you know they're going to go make their own game. So whatever they make next, go buy that instead.
Yeah, I would say wait for Larian's new thing, especially since they're saying that the next thing that they make is going to be huge.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see.
And you know they can do it. They pulled off a game that still has AAA game studios scratching their heads on how they fit that much content in a game with that much choice and that much customization. And you know they're capable of it, so it doesn't have to be Dungeons & Dragons for them to come out with something good. Darrington Press, reach out to Larian Studios and have them make a Daggerheart game. That's what I think should happen.
Hell yeah, that'd be fun.
Speaking of terrible Wizards of the Coast decisions, they came out with another new supplement not that long ago. And I guess that's a bit of a misspeak, I guess, because I don't think them coming out with a new supplement, I guess, is a bad decision on their part. But it's called Quests from the Infinite Staircase. Mm-hmm. And it's basically a bunch of sequels for a bunch of really popular D&D modules that have come out over the years, adapted to 5th edition. So rather than going and buying that, if you're like us and you're not really buying anything from Wizards right now, Drive Through RPG and Dungeon Masters Guild both have an Infinite Staircase Classics bundle. Now, the Wizards official supplement called Quest from the Infinite Staircase costs $70. The Infinite Staircase Classics bundle is currently 38% off and only costs $32. And even at full price, it's $51, which is less expensive than the $70 you'd pay to Wizards.
Right.
And the Classics bundle has all of the original adventures that Quest from the Infinite Staircase is trying to kind of give sequels to and adapt. So instead of getting that supplement from Wizards, you can go get that bundle, get all of the original adventures, and maybe adapt them to whatever game it is that you're playing.
Kind of brings up a good point, too. You know, you have Wizards putting out these modules. They're putting out these modules, which I've never really appreciated the modules that Wizards puts out. Because I've always been I'm going to write my own game or modify whatever's in my head on the fly to make a more interesting game than what is happening out of a module. There are sources out there for any game system, including D&D from its first edition up to now, where people are just writing modules. If you want a module, support them.
Right.
Support your fellow gamers. I guarantee you they're doing better stuff than what Wizards is doing. I guarantee you. And I get it. You're probably the kind of people that go out and you're looking for soup and you see Campbell's and you see store brand and you're like, I'm gonna get Campbell's because I know it's better. It's not always better, man. Try it. Try some of the no-name people doing stuff, because it can be a lot of fun, and you're going to do with it what you're going to do with these D&D modules anyways. You're just going to modify them anyways. So
right.
just do it, please. Or just do your own stuff.
Right.
There's no reason why you need to go out and spend money on a stupid ass module that Wizards is putting out. It's dumb. It's pointless. You can write your own shit, and if you don't want to write your own shit, you have other people out there that are putting it out there. And one, even if they're charging, you're supporting your, essentially your local gamer, but you're supporting a fellow gamer. And if for the most part, they're probably putting them out there for free. For free.
And even the ones that are charging aren't charging very much.
No, because they know they're not Wizards. So
the same thing you're paying Wizards like $40 to $50 for, you're paying your average indie publisher like $5 for, and the same thing you're paying Wizards like $70 for, you're paying $20 to $30 to your average indie publisher. So
right, and we're even using the term here, indie publisher. I'm saying that there are even just gamers out there posting their shit out for free, because they like it. They like what they've done, and they want you to play it too. And you know what? If you get it and you want to complain that it's unbalanced, just balance it.
Yeah.
Because, and you could be like, well, if I went to Wizards, it'd already be balanced. You're a fucking liar.
Not really.
Because you know it's not balanced.
Not really.
5th edition is not balanced, okay?
I can't tell you how much editing I've done. I'll be honest, I've run a lot of official Wizards modules, and I've had to edit them quite a bit most of the time on the fly. It's not that hard.
Nope. Hell, I'm looking at a Reddit post right here that just says tons of free D&D 5e adventures. Come and get them. And there's 12 of them that they're even just showing here.
But if you are sold on running the ones in Infinite Staircase, like I said, you can get this bundle. And just to give you an idea what it includes, you do get The Lost City, which was an adventure that was written for Dungeons & Dragons Basic. You get Expedition to the Barrier Peaks, which was a module written for 1st edition. The Lost Caverns of, no way I'm pronouncing that correctly, Sojkanth? I don't know. Lost Caverns of something.
Good luck.
Also, once again, 1st edition. Most of these are 1st edition, by the way. Beyond the Crystal Cave, When the Star Falls, Pharaoh, all for 1st edition, and then the last one in there is Beyond the Crystal Cave. So it's in itself is already a sequel, and it is written for 4th edition. And you can adapt any one of those to 5th edition if that's what you really want to play. Or hell, go adapt them to Daggerheart.
Yeah.
I already kind of confessed to my regular D&D group that when we switch over entirely to Daggerheart, because basically what it's coming down to is we already started playing Descent into Avernus, so we're going to finish that up.
Sure.
And after we finish that up, we're switching over to Daggerheart, and I already confessed that it's going to be my first time running an entire campaign that I wrote myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm dipping a toe. Well, I shouldn't say dipping a toe. I'm diving in head first to a whole new world of not running a pre-written and actually just writing an entire world, an entire campaign. Everything is coming from my head. So wish me luck on that.
I feel the responsibility to step in. I want you to know I am equally as excited for Daggerheart as you. But I feel like because we had him on as a guest, and he's not on now, I do have to say that KTC doesn't seem like a big fan of the changes that Daggerheart has been making since the playtest has started.
That's true. If you read our Discord, there have been... But I feel like most of the issues that he's coming with are ones that are balancing issues, or there's some things that
100%,
that he liked that they like took out.
Yes, you took the words right out of my mouth.
And both of the things are, I could put it right back in, and who the fuck cares about balancing?
No, you're 100% right. I think I even responded to a couple of his posts where it's just like, well, don't do that.
But he does make a valid point, and if you're picking your system, the less you have to do yourself, honestly, is better. It's just like the complaint I had with the cards. It's, yes, I don't have to go buy cards, and yes, I don't have to print cards. There are a million workarounds for the cards, but the fact that they're putting them in there in the first place is still a valid complaint. And all the complaints the KCT is making are still valid complaints.
Oh, yeah. No, I will say that the reason why I bring it up is because I do, again, trust his judgment on things like this. And I think that people should know that, of the people who were on that episode, there is someone that is not happy with some of the things that they're doing. So we're not just singing their praises.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you want to jump in, see what he's saying, please do. But please keep in mind that, these are opinions that people are allowed to have differences in.
Yes.
This is not something to get heated up over. These are valid. I think they're even valid issues to have with a game. So, if you hop in, cool, check it out. Voice how you think he might be wrong. Voice how you might think he's right. But if you get shitty,
keep it simple.
I will. Yep.
Keep it simple. We've never had to kick anyone from the Casters Guild Discord, but that doesn't mean we won't.
Right. I've been, looking for a reason. No, I'm kidding.
We want somebody to be the first.
Yeah. I need to prove my power, so please.
No, don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that. Or do.
But you know where you should go if you want to show up to game night in some cool new gear?
I don't know, actually.
tvillain.com.
Shut the fuck up.
T-Villain is a t-shirt site where you'll find a killer limited edition shirt being sold for $13 only while supplies last. Every Monday, the site features a new design by a new artist. We would tell you what's featured right now, but by the time you hear this, it's already changed.
They choose the most ingenious designs that reflect everything evil and villainy, as well as works pertaining to anything artistic, pulp style, lowbrow, pop culture, TV, movies, music, video games, comics, etc. All things cool and evil, basically. To check them out and help Casters Guild, click our link in the description.
But keeping the TTRPG train rolling, Roll20 is now making changes to where it can be launched directly from your Discord server. As someone who uses Roll20 every week to run my D&D group's game, we also use Discord because the voice chat and the messaging on Roll20 is not the best.
Mm-hmm.
So usually we have to have Roll20 up and we have to have Discord up, and we're kind of using those two. And the fact that basically Roll20 is just going to have its own little game launch directly from Discord. I don't know if you know this. You probably do. Discord has its own games on it that you can play with other people on your server. And basically Roll20 is just going to be one of those.
Okay, cool.
For those of you who are looking for things like that, who are going, oh, I didn't know Discord has games. Anytime you're in a voice channel, just look below where it says a voice connected or video connected. You'll see something that looks like a little rocket ship. And if you hover over it, it'll say start an activity. And that's where all the games are that you can play with other people on your Discord server. And Roll20 is going to be added to that, which will make things a whole lot easier if you're using both Discord and Roll20 to run your games.
Sweet.
Have you ever used Roll20?
I have. Roll20, I think that it was easy for me to use to play. But whenever I tried to run it, I think I put too much... how to explain this? I think I put too much pressure on myself to utilize every little thing that I could in that game.
Makes sense.
And I got overwhelmed.
There's a lot.
And Yeah. So, I mean, I think if you go into it and you're just like, okay, I'm using this to just run a game, settle the fuck down, I think it should be fine.
I will also say, if you are like me and you're kind of person who does buy modules and runs those modules, you can, instead of buying them from somewhere else, you can buy them right on Roll20. And depending on what adventure you're buying, the money goes straight to DM's Guild or Drive-Thru RPG or wherever you would normally buy that adventure.
Mm-hmm.
And when you buy it on Roll20, so much of that is already done for you. Like, the maps are already made, they already put in the walls, they already put in the dynamic lighting, they already put all the little enemy tokens where they need to be. It does make it pretty easy. So you can use all these features without necessarily being overwhelmed.
Right, exactly.
But I just thought that was really cool. If you're already using Roll20 and you're already using Discord, it's just good news that they will be working hand in hand together, and it's not going to cost you extra to add the Roll20 add-on to your Discord. You don't have to have Nitro. Just what you're already doing is just going to get a whole lot easier.
Right, and I think I may have missed something too. And just to be aware, D&D isn't the only thing that you can play with Roll20.
Oh yeah, any TTRPG works on Roll20. And as a matter of fact,
Right.
A lot of them are already integrated.
Right, like I was actually playing City of Mist on Roll20.
And they also, D&D is also not the only one where you can pre-buy modules where everything's already done for you in Roll20. Like, it's pretty much every system has modules like that, where people have already done the work for you. Right, moving from TTRPGs to movies, I saw a trailer today, and I teared up just from the trailer, so I can only imagine what the movie is going to do to me. I saw a trailer for Jim Henson Idea Man, which is a documentary about the life of Jim Henson, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And
I mean, of course I'm going to watch it.
Yeah, immediately. Like, there's no question. I have not made it a secret that Jim Henson has had a huge impact on my life, and the Muppets did as I was growing up.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and you saw who's directing it.
Yes. Yeah. Everything. Well, I shouldn't say everything Ron Howard does is great.
Yeah, not everything, but yeah.
There was the last season of Arrested Development, which.
Yeah. I didn't watch any of that, so.
The beginning was good.
No. So the exact opposite of Supernatural.
Oh. Well.
I hated the first couple seasons of Supernatural when it was Monster of the Week. I hated it. I have openly admitted this. And then
I can't agree because I like the Monster of the Week stuff.
Yeah.
When it comes to Supernatural.
As soon as they got that overarching story, and not counting their we're gonna look for Dad. That doesn't count for me. But yeah, it's as soon as I got that overarching story, that's when they hooked me, and I was like, all right, I'm in.
That and Arrested Development, pretty much all it was good until the last season when Netflix bought it, and Netflix went, oh, we know you already ended the season, you've already had your series finale, but make us another season.
Oh, okay.
And so everybody's like, oh, cool, Arrested Development's back, and then they watched it, and then they went, oh,
there's back.
There's a reason it ended. Gotcha.
They've said all they needed to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But honestly, like I said, I teared up just from the trailer, and it looks like a lot of care is being put into it. And they also aren't just sugarcoating everything. They're showing every facet of his life, including some of the stuff where perhaps friends and family got neglected because he was too busy, puppeteering and creating. So you'll get to see both sides, all facets of his life, and I feel like even if you're a huge Jim Henson nerd, you're probably going to learn something that you didn't know. And I won't say it's going to be a good time, because maybe I will be crying a little too much to call it a good time, but it's definitely going to be worth your time. All right, going from that confirmed trailer to something that is completely speculation and rumor. Mel Brooks keeps teasing a Spaceballs sequel. In recent interviews, Star Wars was brought up, and he talked about how much he loves Star Wars and about how he still wants to make a Spaceballs sequel. Nothing confirmed to be in production, but somebody, if you're going to do it, somebody give that man money to make that movie before he dies. Because I would love to see a Spaceballs sequel. And the only thing we really know is that he says if he gets to make it, it would be titled Spaceballs: The Search for More Money.
You know, that it's been the name of the sequel since the first one.
Yep. Since 87. That movie's as old as I am.
Mm-hmm.
And the man's 97 years old. Like, let him make the movie.
Right.
The worst thing that can happen is it'll be terrible. The fans of the original will watch it, and it will at least exist. Just let the old man make his movie. Were you a fan of the original?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I was. Still am, obviously. But yeah, it was a huge. I don't want to say like, you know, it had a huge impact on my life, because it didn't really have a huge impact, but
sure.
I mean, it was amazing, and I loved it, and it was funny. Had a good time, and there was a point in time where I was watching it every night as I went to bed.
Oh, cool.
So it was my bedtime comfort movie. I think a lot of us have one, but yeah. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. I am though, after having watched Robin Hood Men in Tights, I am a little hesitant to see a sequel come out.
Right. I think if somebody is going to make a sequel to it, if they're going to let him make a sequel to it, it needs to be done under like heavy supervision. Like the original Star Wars, the Tridge, if you will. From what I understand, a lot of what George Lucas wanted to do in those movies was not done because there were just people going, "No, George, you can't do that."
Yes.
For like the entire trilogy.
Right.
Somebody do that for Mel Brooks to make a Spaceball sequel, and then I'll be in.
Yeah. No, I'm down with it.
But going from that to a little bit of rediscovered movie magic, I'm going to be linking a video in the description of this where they're going to go a lot more into depth to what this actually is than I'm going to go here as I explain why you should watch this video. But if you've ever seen Mary Poppins, which I hope you've seen Mary Poppins, if you haven't, what are you doing? Go watch Mary Poppins. Pause this podcast, go to Disney Plus or whatever, go watch Mary Poppins, then come back. And it's a fantastic movie. But there's an entire sequence in Mary Poppins where they jump into like this cartoon world. And the chroma key that's done, which if you don't know what chroma key is, it's where you have live actors in front of fake backgrounds, like cartoon backgrounds. And the way they do the chroma key is better than any green screen or blue screen you see in modern cinema. Mm-hmm. And apparently it's because they did it with this technique that had been lost to time. There was this prism they used that separated special types of light, and those prisms apparently were very expensive. Only 3 existed in the whole world, and now nobody knows where any of them are. But someone has recreated, not through the use of that prism, but through the use of multiple prisms and multiple filters to achieve the same effect. And rather than using one camera with 2 strips of film like they did in the original effect, they're just setting up 2 cameras.
Mm-hmm.
And you'll see the results in the video, and they get results out of it that are just amazing when it comes to chroma keying. Things that you just cannot do, like wear certain colors or use veils or anything that's translucent, use anything like water or powders. Like, they just get lost if you're trying to do blue screen or green screen, and it just works with this technique, this chroma key technique that they use. And I personally found it fascinating and think that the video is worth your time.
Absolutely agree. It is a fun bit of information on, you know, stuff that we just really don't do anymore. And I also think it's fun that the Corridor crew found it.
Yeah, absolutely. And on top of that, they make a really good point toward the end of the video where they're using newer techniques now, where they're using, rather than using green screens or blue screens, they're using LED screens behind actors nowadays to create the backgrounds that they want to make instead of chroma keying it afterwards. But they are having to touch it up afterwards and still using a lot of those chroma key techniques. And a lot of what it's doing is using machine learning in order to become more and more advanced. And using this lost technique to create the chroma keying that the machine learning is learning from could be a step that will make leaps and strides in actually creating the effect that a lot of filmmakers are wanting to make. So it's important stuff, people. Go watch the video.
Do it.
Let's see. A new Office reboot has been announced. I have
very few opinions about this, so you're gonna take over.
No, that's fine. A couple people have been announced as the cast. Did you not watch The Office, or are you just not a fan?
I was never a fan. I've tried a few times to get it going, and it was just, I don't know. I mean, there are clips that I just think are really funny, but then it's just I have to watch the rest of the show around it to get to that part.
Did you ever try the original Office, the British version?
Yes, I did.
And it's same kind of deal?
Yep. In fact, I mean, I saw the American one first, and then I tried the British one after that, because it's maybe it's just because it's, a reboot or a remake or whatever. And I just couldn't get into it. I mean, come at me. I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. It's not for everybody. And that's actually something I tell a lot of people when it comes to The Office. You have to have a certain type of humor to enjoy The Office, which I happen to have. I've watched it through a couple of times.
I think it's funny that I don't like The Office, but I like Parks and Rec.
I don't think that's funny, because I like The Office and don't like Parks and Rec.
Oh, well then maybe it makes a bit more sense than I was originally thinking then.
Because there are a lot of people who compare the two, but the humor in the two is entirely different. The real big thing is they both take place in an office setting, and there are office workers who get into shenanigans together, but the actual humor is different between the two. Mm-hmm. And like you, I see clips from Parks and Rec, and I'm like, oh, that's really fucking funny. But then I have to watch the rest of the show, and I'm just not into it.
Right.
So a couple people have been reported, and God, I'm so terrible. I need to start looking up these pronunciations before I do this, and let Google read them to me before I get into this. But here we go. Domhnall Gleeson and Sabrina Impicatore have both been announced as the first two actors to join the project. Reading this off of geektyrant.com, by the way. And they have said that it will be set in a different office, but in the same universe as the American Office.
Oh, okay. So it's not a reboot per se.
No.
Okay. But it is.
Yeah. It's just kind of just a way to bring back the series, but not erase everything that happened in the series that people love so much. They're all that stuff happened, but this is just a different office somewhere else, and we're following them now, which I think is a good way to do it.
Yeah, I think a full reboot would be a huge mistake.
Yeah. And of course, Greg Daniels and Michael Coman are both co-creating the new Office series, so the fact that Greg Daniels is back is a good indicator that what we get should be something really good. More news for new stuff that's coming out. Donald Glover apparently let it drop that he is working on an anime project, creating a new anime with Zach Fox.
You have me at Donald Glover.
Sure. Apparently he said somebody asked him what he's been up to, and he said, he was busy on project the Star Wars Lando movie, which I feel like he might not be so busy on that anymore. A parody biopic of 21 Savage. Mm-hmm. And of course that recent release project that was a series reboot of Mr. and Mrs. Smith. But he said now that he's not as busy, he is currently working on an anime with Zach Fox.
Okay.
So I think with those two... Oh, yeah, he also said the reason somebody asked what he was doing was because he confirmed that he's retiring the title of Childish Gambino after this final album that's coming out.
He's what again?
He's retiring the title of Childish Gambino.
Oh.
After this final album.
Not gonna lie, I thought he already had.
Yeah.
So but still, that's still kind of big news.
Yeah. And instead, he's going to go work on this anime, which, if it's Donald Glover and Zach Fox, it's going to be funny as shit.
Sure.
We don't know anything else about the anime, what kind of genre it is, or when it's coming out, or what's going on. We just know he's working on it. And I know everything that I know to be in. And you already said that you are too. So watch Party at my place.
Hell yeah.
And the last bit of movie news I have here, Quentin Tarantino, for those of you who don't know, has always famously said he's going to make 10 movies and then he's done. He'll never make another movie after he makes 10 movies. Which he also announced that he had been working on said movie. It was called The Movie Critic, the 10th movie, by the way. And it starred Brad Pitt, and it had Tom Cruise, and it was basically set in the same universe as Once Upon a Time in Mexico. It was kind of a sequel of sorts.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And he had apparently already done a bunch of works on it after the strike ended. Like, it really got into full gear, and they did a bunch of work on it. But he just scrapped it entirely. And said he's going to be starting over. Which I think, and I could be wrong, I think that Quentin Tarantino just doesn't want it to be over yet.
Oh, yeah, I think so, too.
Which, Quentin, listen. I know you're a fan of the podcast. I know you're listening.
Yeah.
Just make more movies.
Yeah, that's what the thing confuses me the most about. It's like, okay, sure, I get it. You don't want it to be over. You don't want to fade into what you believe is obscurity.
Mm-hmm.
But, one, you won't. Two, why stop? Yeah,
nobody's going to judge you.
No. Yeah, okay, someone will, because it's the internet.
Yeah.
But no one that matters will.
Nobody who actually likes your movies is going to judge you and go, oh, well, he said he was going to make 10, and like this is going to be his 11th.
Yes.
Or you really want to freak some people out. Go ahead and make your 10th, announce your retirement, and then make movies under a pseudonym, and nobody will know.
Sure.
Be this brand new director on the scene that's like super mysterious, and nobody knows their face or who they are.
Yeah, I heard the name Childish Gambino was going to be up for grabs.
Oh my god, that would be amazing. All of a sudden, Childish Gambino starts releasing movies, and nobody knows who it is. I mean, so many people do it. I mean, there's so many manga writers, for example, creators like Oda, the creator of One Piece. Nobody knows what he looks like. Nobody knows who he is. And a bunch of mangakas do that. Like, just do that. Just create a bunch of stuff and let nobody know that it's actually you doing it. And then if you want that credit, and I know you're that type of person, Quentin, where like you're going to see people raving about these movies, about how good they are, and you're going to be like, man, this is eating me up inside. I want credit. Then you reveal, after you've made a few of them, it's me. I'm that guy. I just meant I wasn't going to make any other movies under the name Quentin Tarantino after number 10. I'm still making movies. Surprise, bitches.
Boom.
But yeah, it's just one of those things. I mean, it could be something else. There could be something else about that movie where he scrapped it, but I think that's just what it is he doesn't want to stop making movies. And nobody wants him to stop making movies either. I don't think. I mean, there are some weird things about the guy. He might be a little racist, maybe. And
yeah, I have had a serious. You know what energy he has? He has the energy of a white guy who had one black guy give him the N-word pass, and he thinks that's it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he needed.
Yeah,
and that whole time that guy was probably just messing with him just to see if he could get him to do it.
Right.
That's the energy that Quentin Tarantino's got.
Yeah. And he might be misogynistic. I don't know. But like when it comes to Hollywood with where the bar is, at least nobody has ever come out and accused him of sexual harassment.
Yeah, that's fair.
The bar is on the floor.
Yes.
But yeah, just make your movie. Make the movie. We all want to see it. We're ready to see The Movie Critic. And then, if you're not done, go make another one. But that's all I had. Baron, do you have anything else today?
I did miss one other thing. It was kind of like a bad news thing. I don't think we talked about it, but it's something to watch out for. I know that there was a big breach with Roku, and I know a lot of us use Roku. They say in Variety that Roku has 576,000 streaming accounts compromised.
Oh, by the way, before we go too far with this, I also want to point out this is a different security breach than the one we have already talked about with Roku.
Right. Correct.
In the past. So if you've already checked up on all your usernames and your passwords, you're like, oh, they already told me about this. I already checked. This is different.
Right.
So yeah,
Right.
go ahead.
Yeah. So yeah, and Roku, like I said, that's a big name. A lot of us use it, so it's definitely something that we should get on. I mean, if you I don't know if Roku has been using two-factor authentication before or if it even supports it. I believe that they are moving forward with it now. Do the two-factor authentication. Any place that you can do two-factor authentication, do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been a hell of a time for Roku. It says that they didn't gain access to any personal information, but it's still a breach. So now that they have two-factor authentication up, go for it.
And we pointed this out last time, but if you were using the same password on Roku as you were other platforms, which you shouldn't be doing that, but a lot of people do, it does say that everyone who was affected, they have forced a password reset.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are using Roku, and they have forced your password reset, that means whoever this was got a hold of your password. And if you use that password somewhere else, go change it there too. Because whoever it is has your password. And most of these places, if they're a company, I shouldn't say company, if they're a group that steals passwords, they're going and trying it other places.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So go change it.
Yep. And that was just another... Essentially, that was another news broadcast or news alert from our guild member Billy. So he's really looking out for us on that end, because I think he even I think there's a Plex one as well.
Yes,
a Plex breach. So yeah, he's I guess stay here to stay informed of the next breach, because you know it's going to happen.
And another thing that he actually pointed out that has nothing to do with this, but I forgot about this one as well, because this is another thing that we were going to talk about last week, but it got pushed. It has been announced that if you thought the Dune popcorn bucket was obscene, that Deadpool himself will be designing the popcorn bucket for Deadpool with the intention of making it obscene. So we haven't seen the popcorn bucket for Deadpool, at least not that I know of yet. There's been a lot of mock-ups that were like, oh, well, if Deadpool's making it and it's going to be obscene, this is what we think it's going to look like. But we can only imagine what we have in store when it comes to the Deadpool popcorn bucket. And it is appropriate for us to be bringing this up, because apparently popcorn bucket talk is one of our things now.
Yep, that's what we're doing. What we should do is just start going to movie theaters and reviewing their popcorn buckets.
Yeah, it's going to be a segment. We don't do segments on this podcast, but it's going to be a segment on this podcast now. I'm going to just turn to you and be like, it's time for popcorn bucket talk. Popcorn bucket talk.
And it's even just going to be, regular popcorn buckets, because they don't normally, it's not like they normally put out these novelty popcorn buckets. I will go and get a popcorn bag and be like, well, first things first, it's not a bucket, so it's missing point.
It is becoming more and more of a common practice, though. It's like every major blockbuster at this point is starting to get its own popcorn bucket.
Mm-hmm.
But on that note, I think it's time to go grab my popcorn bucket, have a snack, and end this episode.
Popcorn does sound pretty good right now.
So email us at castersguild@gmail.com. Let us know what movie you think should have an awesome novel popcorn bucket. Come join us on the Discord. That's where all the fun stuff is happening.
You just let loose the dogs.
That's the idea.
God damn it.
And we will see you in the next one. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. I can already hear my popcorn popping. Bye.
I'm gonna fuck it. Boo.